Welcome to Rotten Taste, where we take a look at movies under 50% on Rotten Tomatoes and tell you what we think of them. And today we are looking at the 1987 film Mannequin, starring Andrew McCarthy and Kim Cattrall. This movie has a 20% score on Rotten Tomatoes.
Whew.
Yeah, yeah. Soto, when we first thought of this idea for Rotten Taste and talk about bad movies, Mannequin was one of our first ones that we always, bounced around like, oh, we should see this again. And me personally, I remember seeing this a lot as a kid. I probably
Me
should
too.
not have seen this a lot as a kid. Rewatching now, I'm like, man, what was my dad? And I know I told this story. My dad had HBO, and we always,
Yeah.
events and movies, and this was always on HBO. And I'm like, Dad, I love you, but man, I should have not probably watched this as like a 9, 10 year old, whatever age I am. But anyhow,
hmm
this was always on, and I think that's why I caught it a lot. I remember liking it. Going back, it's still enjoyable, but man, this movie cannot be made today. Oh my fucking god.
Yeah, I think that while we've done these movies, I think this is the most. This is the one of the most quintessential kind of like Rotten Taste movies because, again, just like you, I looked at this movie with a lot of like rose-colored glasses and thinking about how much I love this movie as a little kid, and then rewatching it and being an adult and looking through adult eyes, I was just like, wow.
Wow. But again,
I missed a
I
lot.
it's not an excuse, but again, we always go to it was a different era and a different time. I'm not saying that makes it right, but a lot of movies and TV shows back then pushed the buttons or just did not care like nowadays. And there's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. So, anyhow, for those who do not know the movie Mannequin, Andrew McCarthy stars as a sculptor, wannabe artist. They never fully explain, but he loves putting work
No.
together. He's losing jobs left and right, but he builds a mannequin. That's his job, by the way. He's making mannequins, and he weirdly comes obsessed with this one because, it's his finest creation. And then we'll
hmm
get in a little bit of if there is a backstory, and then she comes to life. That's the basic
Yeah.
premise, but I have to admit, and I know I texted you this when it happened. I laughed at like the opening sequence, um, whatever 6,000 BC. I don't remember the exact thing, but it does say, the little text on the bottom, a really long time ago, right before lunch.
That wasn't even the weirdest part. The first part was I was like, these people are Egyptian?
Yes, Kim Cattrall is Egyptian. Um,
I was like, okay, I have questions about, and maybe I missed the beginning, but how did that all happen with the transporting into the bodies and everything? Like, did you catch that? Can you explain that to me?
I can try. I'm not going to say I'm going to succeed. So in the beginning,
Okay,
um, she's supposed to be married off to someone else, a camel
sure.
dung farmer. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They're not
Yeah.
saying shit. They said dung. Um, and she doesn't want to get married. She wants to fly. She wants to do this. She wants to be an inventor because, inventing was big back in the 6,000 BCs, like we
Oh,
all know it
sure.
was.
Yep. Yep. I caught that.
Whatever, actually, that good character development. She does want to be forced into marriage. We've seen that plenty of times.
Oh
And
my
then
God.
she's, I guess, looking up above, like, someone help me. And then the whole pyramid or wherever they're at shakes and she disappears. She does not.
Yeah.
That's it. She's just gone. Her, like a Jedi, the clothes she's wearing is just there, and she is gone. And that is it. Now I would have got it somehow. She froze in time and then became a mannequin. Again, that far-fetched stories. That's why we're here. Um,
Yeah.
and then somehow, because Andrew McCarthy put his soul into this, and he, in a weird way, loved his creation, it brought her to life. Which we find out she's come back to life in the past. She's met
Yeah.
supposedly Christopher Columbus.
Who she
Um,
calls Chris.
Chris. That was never fully explained. I don't get it,
Oh
but we're just
no.
going to go with the Andrew McCarthy part because, he,
Sure.
you just, again, I don't know. Soto, I know you mentioned you, like me, we loved this as a kid, and when we went back, I couldn't remember too many scenes. Like it came back to me, but before I watched it, I'm like, I don't remember too much. I just remember loving it. And what were your thoughts? Getting into this film and there's as an adult watching this. Where did
I,
this
I
go wrong for
re
us?
I realize after rewatching it that I know why I like this movie so much is because I was a fucking child. Like, and this movie is just a fantasy. Because, like, I know we'll get into it, if you want to. But Andrew McCarthy essentially, has this woman come to life, and she falls in love with him really for no reason. He has no character development, and yet she just loves him unconditionally. And then it's like, spoiler alert, everything just works out. I didn't even remember certain scenes. I didn't even remember the ending. And for the ending, I'm sorry for anybody who wants to see it, but I guess they just get married in a window like setting. And in my mind, I always had thought that the end of this movie was, the Jefferson Starship or Starship song playing, and like they were on a motorcycle and they drive off together into the sunset and stuff. That did not happen. There were
Nope.
motorcycle scenes,
Yeah.
but in all the things, all the chemicals I've introduced into my brain in the past like 30 years, like that memory has been jumbled into a completely different movie, and I was stunned by how ridiculous this movie really is.
It is, and he kind of comes across as Mannequin again because he finally gets a job at this department store, like this
Sure.
big super Macy's, J.C. Penney's. I don't know if they ever. I'm sure
With
they
the
said the
lady
name.
from Golden Girls, by the way, right?
Oh God, I love Estelle Getty. Yes, I forgot she was in
Yes.
this. I saw her. I actually lit up. I'm like, oh my God, Estelle Getty. Like
I
I
did
love
too,
her.
yeah.
And then I started thinking like, oh my God, is she one of the bad guys in this? Because again, James Spader, I forgot was in this. The
Yeah,
guy from
so
Police. So
young.
there's it came back, but Estelle Getty's just a breath of life. But he creates the scenes, like the window scenes, and for mannequins for people to
Hmm.
see out on the streets, and that's how he realizes the mannequin comes to life as Kim Cattrall, and
And only he
yeah,
can see her.
but
And
only
then
him.
there are parts of this movie where it's very fucking strange. I almost thought, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Lars and the Real Girl, but it
Yes,
reminds me kind of that same kind of vibe, because if you watch this movie and you just accept the reality that Kim Cattrall isn't coming to life, it becomes so much funnier. Like he carries her around into secret rooms, and like people are seeing him do this, and it's like I love her quote, Estelle Getty's quote, where she's like, "I don't care what he's doing as long as he's making us money." I'm like, that is exactly what a business owner cares about. It's like he could just be doing whatever the fuck he wants with that doll. If he's making us money, I don't give a shit. I don't care what the pictures say.
yeah. And what's weird to me is like, again, I know it's absurd, but like, there's one time he takes Kim Cattrall, the mannequin, excuse me, into the bathroom. He's
Mm-hmm.
carrying it, and everyone's like eavesdropping. He
Yes.
just got promoted, and like everyone at the store knows. He's like he's talking to the dummy. Now it's like some of them hear her, but here's the thing: then
Yeah.
Hollywood, crazy
Oh God.
characters with that sunglasses. But he comes in and he's okay with this, and that
Hmm.
whatever he's like I'm weird, you're weird, we're
Yeah.
friends now. But the mannequin all of a sudden like she has a kissy face. She's kissing him and like do they got to realize something's up when this mannequin's facial expressions are changing every time they are looking. Like, how
Yeah.
does no one fucking get this? But
Oh, dude, it's absolutely insane premise for a film. And then the guy from, I think it's from Police Academy, as the
yep,
random
George
security
Bailey.
guy,
Yep,
just doing his thing and everything. I mean, this movie is so 80s. If there was a movie that just was a slice of like what the 80s were in a
it
fever
would be
dream,
this.
that's what this movie is. Have you ever been, and it's been a long time, I know you and I are older, but like, remember when you would go to like hair salons and you would see those like 80s style like posters in hair salons?
Yep,
That's what this movie is.
yep, pretty
It's
much.
like if one of those posters came to life, and it's just so 80s. So it is such a period piece of ridiculousness and fantasy. It's just absolutely, it blew my mind how terribly it translates to today. And I'm surprised that it's even available for streaming.
So I kind of want to backtrack just a little bit because before Andrew McCarthy figures out that the mannequin comes to life, he has a girlfriend, or they never officially say
Oh,
what it is,
yeah.
and but she's
That's
pushing him
weird.
to get a job. She's made out to be a bitch, but at the same time, at first, she's just like do something with your life kind of thing. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
My problem issue is like what this woman Roxy goes through at her job. She has a coworker blatant sexual harassment all the
Oh, my
time.
God.
The
Yeah.
boss, just making suggestions. I'm like, holy fucking shit. I'm like, no wonder this girl is so pissed. She's doing all this shit at work. But I'm
That was
like,
the
there's
'80s, dude.
I know, and that's so weird to think about. That we grew up in that time, but the coworkers just like, you just let me get down on my knees and blah, blah. I'm like, holy shit, you do not talk to any coworker.
No, this movie took place before HR. I think I said it when I was watching it. I was like, there is no human resources department. There's no one to complain to about. And we laugh because it's like, oh my God, the '80s. But like, that stuff was kind of okay still in the '90s.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
to like late '90s, it's like only recently have people been like, hey, this is not okay. But when you watch a movie so blatant like this in the '80s, and it's like, I think they're in the department store, and the guy who's like hitting on her, like, he like starts to unzip his pants, and he's like, "Can I find something in your size?"
Oh
And I'm just
yeah,
like, "Oh my God, so
yeah.
offensive,
Oh my god, I forgot
so
about that.
problematic."
But so the middle part of this movie is like what I call the hijinks, the part of the
Yeah.
movie,
Hmm.
the montage, because
Oh,
basically
the montage.
it's yeah, they have the montage where they're all dressing up, and then it's just
Hmm.
James Spader and the police security are trying to bust him, just like he's doing something wrong. I have to laugh at this, so they're somehow he's taking the mannequin out on a motorcycle ride. He's got a dummy on
Yes.
the holding him, and he's riding a
Uh-huh.
motorcycle. Occasionally, she comes alive because I guess no one's watching her. I don't. I kind of want to know the
Oh my
rules of this
God.
too. Like, how does she know to come alive? Like, it just magically happens. Like, but at the end, everyone they kidnap the mannequin. Now, obviously, no one knows the
Yeah.
mannequin's alive. And
Hmm.
then Roxy just all of a sudden just pissed off at everything going on, which I kind of still again understand. Grabs the dummy, puts it on the machine of death. Now it's like this conveyor belt that goes to kill, that grinds up, whatever.
Yeah.
Soto, I've worked in a lot of retail, and we've talked
Hmm.
about retail stores. What department store has a death machine in the back room like that? Is
So
that
open
like
that anyone can just fall into,
yes?
with no safety guidelines or anything like that. Like it's just like who has a mannequin disposal machine?
I don't know. This
I've
department
never
store
seen this in my
for the,
life.
the dramatic ending, but so Kim Cattrall is slowly going up. Andrew
Hmm.
McCarthy grabs her, and then all of a sudden she comes alive. She can hold on his hand. He saves her, and everyone sees her. No explanation. His
No,
love never
none.
changed for her, and she's like, "They
Nope.
can see me. They can see me," and like. That's it. I mean, I don't know what more to say about this movie. A mannequin comes to life. A man falls in love with the mannequin, and hijinks happens throughout the movies, and a lot of sexual
Yeah.
harassment. Does that sum up this movie?
That's basically it because Andrew McCarthy does not learn a damn thing. I've mentioned the Marty McFly thing many times on these podcasts, but he doesn't learn a damn thing. Like, he
Nope.
doesn't have any character growth whatsoever. He just exists, and like the perfect female comes out for him, and she just loves him unconditionally, and he just makes money, and everything works out. He does make a line about, oh, we could build cities together. So I think that's the only way that the main theme song ties into this movie. But you're right. This is just straight up sugar. You put this on, you do not use any brain power,
Nope.
and everything works out, and you're like, cool, that was something.
And I know you mentioned the main theme song, but there was a lot of, and I will admit, the '80s movies. I don't know if they had. It was cheaper to get licensed music back then, but man, the soundtrack on this was fucking awesome. The
Yeah.
typical '80s, it's just like that's probably the best part of this movie. Just like singing these songs, like oh yeah, I remember this song. Oh, that's a good song. And a lot of '80s movies had it.
Hmm.
Soto, is there anything else you need to add about this before we end this?
No, I think we covered it all, and and it'll be probably another 20 years until I see this movie.
Yeah, yeah. So for anyone that saw the movie Mannequin, what did you think about it? Did you like it? Did you don't like it? Can I make something similar to that today? No. The answer is just no.
Let me answer that for you. No, not at
Until
all.
next
Not a
time,
chance.
from the bottom of our hearts, nothing's going to stop us now.
Nothing's gonna stop us.